The executive director of Olympus Pacific Minerals. Today we have John Seton joining us from our Sydney bureau. Nice to have you with us, John. So let's talk about potential, because it seems like your company is riding on a lot of that. I mean, there's much interest in ZX's Tien Tuan gold deposit in Vietnam, which you now own. Also talk of this multi-million ounce discovery, which investors say would be a rare find in these recent times. So what do your latest studies say?
Oh, thanks, Susan. Look, let's just talk about Vietnam in the context of the world's gold mines. We're right next door to the big deposits at Seton and Pan Australia. We're on the same geological structure. We have two deposits on that structure at Bom Yu and Phuoc Son. We currently have resources under our belt of 3.4 million ounces, and we're looking to find another 1 million ounces this year.
Okay, and what is the likelihood of being a world-class multi-million ounces deposit? You know, 10%, 20%? People like to look for probability here, John.
Oh, look, probability, it's greater than 50%. These are proven properties, they're big properties. We've had extensive artisanal activity on these properties. At one stage we had over 2,000 artisanal miners on our Phuoc Son property. There's gold outcropping all over the property, and you know, if the artisanal miners were mining it, it has to be there.
All right, well, let me just ask you about your recent listing, because you are now listed on the ASX. Are you finished raising cash for Olympus Pacific?
Susan, we're currently cash flow positive. We don't have any debt and we're unhedged. We do have an aggressive expansion plan. We want to take production up to 300,000 ounces per annum on an annualised basis by the end of 2014. To do that, we will need to raise some cash over that period, but it does depend on what the gold price is going to be, and I don't know about you, Susan, but I think that the outlook for gold is promising.
Yeah, we just heard from your kind of Swiss Asia capital. It seems pretty bullish still on the price of gold. But if you need to raise cash, I mean, how are you going to do it? Are you going to do a rights offering, maybe a different listing from your Australian one? Have you considered selling shares, say, either in Vietnam or elsewhere in the Asia Pac, such as Singapore or Hong Kong?
I don't think we'll be looking for another listing in the near future. We have had offers of project finance, and we're considering our options at the moment.
And what looks likely for you as an option right now, John?
I think it'll be more likely to be debt finance than equity finance at the moment. We don't want to dilute the company at these low levels. We believe there's a lot of upside in our stock, and we think the shareholders should take the benefit of that.
Yeah, well, shareholders are looking really closely at your profit margins or your profit dollars at this point, John. Now, your company, Olympus Pacific, has already been producing 40,000 ounces or so of gold per annum at your Bom Yu gold mine in Vietnam, and also another mine in the same country, which will be commissioned in a year or so and set to produce about 80,000 ounces. But when you look at profit numbers, your company still isn't making money yet. And so the question is, when will you start producing a profit and become cash flow positive?
Well, we're cash flow positive now, Susan. Our cash costs, including royalties, are $450 an ounce. You can wrap up all of our corporate and overhead costs within another $100 an ounce. So at a gold price of $1,100 an ounce, you know, we're making $550 an ounce. That may not flow through to the bottom line EBIT figures yet, because we're obviously having to amortise the capital costs. But when it comes to cash flow, and that's king, we are cash flow positive now. And by the fourth quarter of this year, we'll be producing at 85,000 ounces per annum. And that's a lot of money coming through to the bottom line.
All right. So, yeah, cash is king, John. One more question for you, since we got an update on the Vietnam operations. What about Malaysia and your gold projects just east of the country? On set to produce maybe 300,000 ounces is what I'm looking at from analyst calls. Is that the projection?
Look, I don't think we'll be getting 300,000 from our property down in Malaysia. It's a beautiful property. There's been 150 years of mining history there, and probably over 3 million ounces has already been pulled out of it. We currently have a JORC resource of 1.6 million ounces, and we'll probably be looking to build production up in there up to probably 120,000 ounces per annum, and that is within our target of being a 300,000 ounce producer by the end of 2014.
All right.
Malaysia's a great country to be operating in.
Yeah, I bet. John, thank you so much for your time today. John Seton of Olympus Pacific.